Yonder music.
Hi everyone and welcome back. We're today on Back to the Grind. We're gonna make some keto chocolate chip cookies. So keto means pretty much like low carb, pretty much grain free is what you want to do. So we're gonna be baking with almond flour. There's a lot of science behind keto, to the point where like a lot of people don't even really exactly know what they're doing when they're doing it, but it's awesome because just going lower carb is great for everybody. Cutting out refined sugar is great for everybody. But the thing is, there's a lot of education that needs to go into it if you're doing keto. The basic concept behind it is that you're teaching your body to burn fats instead of carbs. So you really have to look at carbs everywhere. So like, I mean, even dairy has carbs, which is something I didn't even know, even though I've been into nutrition since I was like 12. So just, places you don't think about it. Certain vegetables, really cruciferous vegetables, have a lot of carbs. So a lot of people, talk to me and ask me questions about going keto and the science behind it. And it's the kind of diet that is good for you, even if you're just kind of like halfway doing it. But if you really, really want to get into it, you need to put a little bit of research into it. But anyways, we're making keto chocolate chip cookies just because I like doing grain-free as much as I can. And I really like the fact that they don't use refined sugars. So that's why we're doing it. So when I was working at my job for a couple years, I would make these cookies. And they're just like perfection. I would have people come in and be like, oh, did you make healthy cookies again? And then they would taste them and they're just phenomenal. Kids eat them. Everybody eats them. The one change I'm making today is I'm not using real butter. Keto is very heavy on milk fats. But again, I'm trying experiments on everything without real butter. If you didn't see my last video, shoot, what did I do with that box? Here it is. If you didn't see my last video, this is the butter that I am in love with right now. Let's show you up close again. It's not that easy to find, but if you find it, buy a couple because it's awesome. And so far, I've had it translate and work really well in all my recipes. We'll find out with this one. So, all right, let's start. This is a super easy recipe. So I just melted that butter that I just showed you, that fake butter that I just showed you over here. I'm gonna use my little cutie spatula. Look at my little cute Pampered Chef spatula. So first we're just gonna actually cream melted butter, which is different. You're usually just creaming softened butter. And I actually forgot, it's been a little bit since I made this recipe, so I had the butter sitting out getting soft. And then went to go and read through my notes before I started filming, and it's actually melted butter in this recipe. So you're gonna put your melted butter, and then your sugar. We're using, again, I use this all the time. I tried erythritol for a little bit. I don't like the cold sensation in your mouth. I don't like the fact that it's lab grown most of the time. Xylitol was my favorite for a little bit. Again, you get the cold sensation, and with it, it's really hard to find naturally sourced birch xylitol too. If you ever find birch xylitol, use it. It's actually from birch bark. The rest of it's grown in a lab. But we're gonna use monk fruit. Monk fruit's awesome. It's expensive. That is the one thing I will tell you, but it's awesome. So we're just gonna cream the melted butter and sugar together. Then, once that has kind of come together, we're just gonna add our vanilla and an egg. I'll probably do a tutorial. Actually, when I recorded my last 3 videos, 2 years ago or whenever it was, when I was living in California, I actually did record a tutorial on how to make your own homemade vanilla extract. I did lemon extract, one other, almond. I did almond extract. And my daughter and I recorded the video like 3 times, and every single time it got wiped, so it wasn't timed. But if you guys let me know, if you're interested, I'll show you how to make your own homemade vanilla extract too, because it's super easy, and it tastes way better than the store-bought stuff. Way more economical. It was what we used at the Daily Grind all the time, so, well, most of the time, when I didn't forget to make it. So now we're just gonna add in, I think it was a teaspoon of vanilla. It's usually a teaspoon. I usually do a little more. When it says a teaspoon, I usually do 2, sometimes even more. And then 1 egg. those and let them get combined. This is for 15 seconds exactly. You beat this together. I don't do exact, but there we go. That seems about 15. So then now we're gonna add in our almond flour. So where's the bag for this? This is the almond flour. I was trying to get like some big bags of stuff since I'm gonna be baking a lot right now. And this is the almond flour I'm using right now. You can make your own if you're super kitchen savvy. So now we're just gonna add in, let's see, I don't remember. I think it was 2 3/4 cups. No, it was like a cup and a half of almond meal, yeah. And then now we're gonna add in our xanthan. Xanthan again. If you have guar, you can probably use guar in this recipe. I haven't tried it yet, but our daily grind cookies, we substitute, every cookie recipe we made, we substituted guar instead of xanthan. So we're gonna do half a teaspoon of xanthan. Just put that in. So now we're just adding all of our dry ingredients. I mean, it's the typical wet and then dry kind of thing. Excuse me. And then we're gonna do our baking powder, half teaspoon of baking powder. And then a little bit of salt. How much salt do we need? 1/4 teaspoon. I don't know. I normally use kind of a salty butter or butter substitute. So when it says 1/4 teaspoon, I do a scant or like not quite a full amount that they're calling for in the recipe, just so things don't get too salty. Most baking recipes call for unsalted butter. I just use salted butter, and then I just pull back on the salt in the recipe. So now we're gonna mix that together. And then now all we have to do is add the chocolate chips, actually. So really, really simple recipe. So again, because we don't use sugar, these are the chocolate chips. If you haven't tried Lily's, run out and get it. Everybody likes it. Again, even kids. So people who think they don't like healthy stuff, this is the kind of stuff that people who don't like healthy stuff will like. My litmus test is if kids like it. If kids like it, you're good. So, I want my big spatula, but I didn't wash it in between filming. Alright, so let's get this out. I want to show you all the dough before we add the chocolate chips. Now this is not my recipe, this is just a recipe I found online. There's a little too much left on there. She recommends that you add the chocolate chips in by hand. Where's your dough? Can you see it? I'm working on lighting here. I'm working in a whole new kitchen, so it might take a little adjusting. So, I mean, that, you know, from my experience in baking, that looks like chocolate chip cookie dough, even though you're taking out the wheat flour, you're taking out the sugar, and you're even taking out the butter now. So this calls for 3/4 cup of chocolate chips. Again, I just add them in to what I like. I like a little more. And then I'm not going to mix it by hand either. Like, you know, there's some things in baking that need to be more exact than cooking. And then there's some places you can just have freedom to do what you want. So, again, I'm waiting for my good cookie scoops to come, so I'm going to use my little crappy cookie scoop. But I'm going to show you the dough before I do it. So now I'll post this recipe in the comments, because I forgot to tell you things like to preheat your oven to 355. Which again, what a weird number. 355, 350, whatever. So there you go. Look at this pretty dough. How can I get the light? Look at that. It's like perfection. Okay, and so I am using stoneware. If you don't know about stoneware, it's one of my favorite things for 2 reasons. It's porous, so it actually takes out all of the extra moisture that you don't want, and makes things really nice and crispy. And secondly, well, you don't have to grease it. So 3 actually, you don't have to grease it, even if your recipe calls for it. You don't have to. And third of all, you don't ever burn anything. So I'm a big stoneware fan. You either love it or you hate it, but I'm a big fan. If you want to know where to get it, let me know in the comments and I'll let you know. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, if you could please subscribe. If you're watching this, please subscribe, because that gets me monetized. That gives me more time to actually be making these videos and showing you guys how to do all this stuff. So, okay, so now I'm just going to, I've got this little cookie scoop, so mine are going to be like mini cookies. And again, like this is a whole experiment because I have never done them with the dairy-free butter because I'm a big butter fan. But my husband can't have it, so, and it's Father's Day tomorrow, so I'm making cookies he can eat. So I'm just scooping them out. I'm gonna bake them at 355 for 10 minutes, and I'll show y'all afterwards. So see y'all in a minute. Okay, so here's our really cute little cookies. I don't want them to go sliding, but I want to show you. So normally I make them bigger. I just tasted one. They're absolutely delicious with the dairy-free butter. I normally make them bigger, so probably about twice the size of that. And one thing I would recommend is doing the same thing that I did. If you've watched the pull apart roll video I did, just dipping your fingers in hot water and kind of smoothing them if you want them to look prettier. I'm usually in way too much of a hurry and I just want cookies, so I don't normally take the time to do that. But these did not flatten out. Sometimes they do. You know, baking, that's part of why I love baking so much, is it's kind of an ongoing experiment and things turn out differently all the time depending on, you know, what type of butter you use, what type of sugar you use, temperature of your oven, obviously, whether it's really humid that day, all kinds of things. So these didn't flatten, but oh my goodness, are they good? I'm gonna give you a little close up on the inside of my ooey gooey. Oh, they're just delicious. So, one other thing, I thought of one thing to tell you. Oh, I do 3/4 cup of sugar. You can go all the way up to a cup, or a 1.25 cups even if you want. If you like things really sweet, you might want to do that. So, that's our keto chocolate chip cookies. Thank you guys for watching. Please, 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 please subscribe so that I can bring out more videos. Thank you.